iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to race number 3 for the American Sim Racing Club Sportsman Series tonight. We got a race replay. This isn't the normal night, but it's the same action-packed racing here for the Next Gen Series. We got a good one here as race number 3 getting ready to kick off and rock and roll. Tonight, we got a special spotlight driver. It's the driver of the number 23 machine. It is Stephen Hoffman. We'll get a word with him just in a second. But we are getting ready here to rock and roll in qualifying. But first, we'll be talking to the spotlight driver, and we'll be getting to know him right about now. So get ready for race number 3. As we'll get a word with the driver of the 23 machine, find out a little bit more about him and what he's up to. It is Stephen Hoffman. Stephen, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Yeah, I got you.
Alrighty, man. How are you doing today? Are you excited for this Phoenix race, let's say?
Yeah, I think we put in a little bit of seat time this week, and I think we got it all the bells and whistles figured out and ready to see what we can do.
Yeah, it should be a good one. How do you feel about these shorter tracks? We know you do some, let's say, some local short track racing, so I know you got to probably circle these shorter racetracks, let's say, for these Cup cars.
Yeah, they're definitely a little tricky. You got to be more patient with them and hit your marks, and really good coming in so you can get that big run coming out because the straightaways are short, so you got to get all you can, all your momentum coming out of that turn to get up quick.
That is very true. These Cup cars always very momentum based. And Stephen, you've been running a couple series now here with ASRC. What are you thinking of the Cup cars versus those Dirt Pro late models?
I think the racing's a lot closer. These cars are a lot more robust, I guess you could say. They take a beating in a way, so it's a lot easier to hop in these things and go turn laps than it is in one of the late models on dirt or even the asphalt late models. They're the Cup cars. You would think they'd be out of control, but they're pretty well-balanced machines, actually.
Yeah, they do handle pretty well, but these things with these current bodies, don't tend to do well once they get sideways. And I know you're one of the drivers that probably prefers a loose race car over a tight race car out there.
Yeah, that is true. They have no side force at all. Once they break loose, if you correct it just a little bit too much, you're going to snap steer right into the wall and ruin your night.
Yeah, that is very true. And Stephen, looking forward to let's say, the season. What's kind of the expectations for the 23 machine and this season of the next gen?
I would love to get a win. That's the ultimate goal. But I guess look at the big picture up until playoffs. Let's kill them with a bunch of top 5 finishes and just be up front. And when the time comes, we'll get a W.
Yeah, that's always the key. Once you get that W, you lock on into the playoffs. Remove a little bit of stress from your season and can just worry about those playoffs when those come on around. And I'm sure you're looking at that big picture for, let's say, the championship at the end of the season.
Yep, that's the end goal. It's I think it'll be a pretty good fight for it. There's a lot of good people in here, and everyone's really respectful. Lots of hard racing, but everyone gives everybody plenty of room.
Now, Steven, for the people wondering at home, what are you racing on for your sim setup? What do you got for your wheel, pedal, and monitor situation, let's say?
For our steering wheel, we have the Logitech G920. We have the pedal and the wheels. Just your basic Amazon seat, like a stand for your pedals and wheels to mount to. And then I have a racing seat bolted to that. And then we run the HP G2 VR headset for our monitor.
And how do you like VR? I know a lot of people, the age-old debate once you start getting big time into the sim racing is triple monitors versus VR. Have you ever tried triples versus the VR?
I've not tried, I have not tried the triples. I went straight from a single monitor to the VR. It took about a week or two to get really used to it. It really throws your perspective off. But once you get used to it, I think it's, I'd have to try the triples, but I think this is pretty good for me.
Yeah, I hear a lot of real life racers, give a lot of praise to VR and how it really immersifies your experience, let's say, on the iRacing world. And how does it compare to the real life? I know you have some experience in a few different cars out there.
Yeah, iRacing's about as close as it gets. Everything's pretty much as realistic as it gets. There's a couple odd and end things you're not going to get. Like I don't have a motion rig, so I don't feel the G-force of the car moving around or the little bumps. You just kind of learn that through the steering wheel with the force feedback. But it helps out a bunch from real life to iRacing, your racecraft, being around guys like this in the ASRC. It really gets you used to being in traffic. I think the VR helps me with that because sit yourself in a real car and this is all you see, the same thing I'm looking at the VR. So it just gets me comfortable being around cars and a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's one of the biggest draws to iRacing is even me, my dad, and a lot of people else that do the double duty of virtual and real life, they say, wow, iRacing really does teach you, you can race closer to guys and makes you feel a little bit more comfortable with it because you can definitely get up more on the wheel. But speaking about that real life racing, we're going to go throw up some pictures up on the screen. Tell us a little bit about your real life endeavors over there, Steven.
Yeah, we started out in 2016 at Florence Speedway at the dirt track, and Dad and I built the car and just slowly worked our way up. Took a couple years off, and now we're in a sport modified, which is basically it's the same thing as an A modified, but we have an engine rule and a shock package that we have to run. So just separate the two classes a little bit. It's more of the working man class of the field. So that's what we have right now currently. We run at Northern Kentucky and then Southern Ohio.
That is too cool. And I personally have a great love for the modifieds so to have another modified racer out there, definitely awesome. And what do you think about those dirt modifieds? Definitely nothing else like them out there, I'd say.
No, there's really not. There's a lot to learn about them. You think it's a car with four wheels and it'll turn left, but it's crazy. You'll be off one night and then you can adjust something as little as an eighth of an inch and it'll make or break your race some nights. So there's a lot to learn on them, and we're picking up on it, but we still have a lot to learn.
That is very true, Steven. Well, for the real life stuff, what can they expect from you this upcoming season? You plan to run the full season out there?
Yep, we're going to try and run Moeller Raceway Park on Friday nights full time. Travel a little bit on Saturdays here and there. We're a little bit behind on the car. We just got it fired up for the first time yesterday, actually. we're about another week out, and we'll finish getting the body on it and get it all decaled up, and hopefully make it out by the end of the month.
There you go, getting a new wrap. Any previews on it? What's the color scheme looking like this year for the 86 machine?
Last year we had like a black and purple, kind of like a midnight thing, and then this year my son wanted more purple on it, so we're going purple and white with blue accents.
Awesome, that should look sweet out there, Steven. Well, thanks again for stopping on in, chatting with us, and getting to know you a little bit better, and hopefully your race goes good for you, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yep, thanks, sir.
All righty, and of course, best of luck to you in the real life season as well. Alrighty, folks, that was Stephen Hoffman in the 23 machine out there, of course, piloting the real life 86. So now we'll jump over to grid side and run through tonight's starting order here for the Phoenix International Raceway. We're starting at the back here, and we got the 002 machine of Clifford Bellamy starting in P23. Starting in 22nd is the 41 machine of Kyle Lesher. Looks like 21st will go to the 04 machine of Danny Venezuela. 18th is Devin McDonald. Jeff O'Quinn in the 94 machine will start 19th. 18th will be Andrew Payne. He won't be out there. He's admitting. So then we go to the 17th position, and we got Dane Lloyd out there in the 0009 or the 9 on the car. The 422 machine of Jordan McAvoy will roll off in P number 16. Then we got the 9 Chevy of John Kane starting in P number 15. 14th will be the 82 machine of Zach Rush. Looks like 13th rolling out will be the 5 machine of Darrell Larson. 12th will be the 951 of Brian Wilderson. 11th will be Deontay Hewer in the 00 Buckshot machine. Then cracking into the top 10, we got Zach Heiser in the 14 Chevy Horsepower Happens machine. Then in 9th, we got Dave Payne in the 38 Pinkerton machine. 8th is Tim Rogers in the Bass Pro Shop, number 48 Chevy. 7th, we haven't seen this man in a little bit. He comes back after being a champion in a previous ASRC Sportsman Series. It is the 710 machine of Dan the Man Parmalee. Rolling off in P number 6, a great qualifying effort from this Hot Lap Heroes. Number 37 of Brandon Marlowe. 5th will be Donovan Carty in the 3 WD-40 machine. 4th will be Nick Fleury in the 25 CPM Chevy. Starting in the 3rd position is the 23 machine of Stephen Hoffman, our highlight driver. Then we go to the front row. We got Tanner Tallarico in the 1, who should have a paint scheme on with the Sunoco car, but it doesn't look like we got it loaded. And starting on the pole here tonight at the Phoenix International Raceway, we got the 35 machine that is being piloted by Hayden Swank. So, folks, we get ready to rock and roll here for 120 laps here at Phoenix International Raceway. The iRacing pace car heads down pit road, and we get ready to go. Green flag racing action. Get ready, folks, because we're going to have some action-packed racing here as we wait for the 35 machine of Hayden Swank to lead us to green. And off of turn number 3 they come. Hayden Swank's on the loud pedal, and we are green flag racing here at Phoenix International Raceway. Alrighty, down into turn, and the dogleg Hayden Swank cuts that, and we sail it into turn number 1. Hayden Swank has the advantage. Then further on back, Stephen Hoffman looking to the inside of Tanner Tallarico. They'll go door to door down the back stretch. One car a little bit loose. Further on back, looks like it is the 14 machine of Zach Heiser, all out of sorts on the front stretch. Not sure what happened to that car, but we stay green flag racing here at the Phoenix International Raceway, so no yellow flag comes out for that. So we'll have to see as one car sideways now on the dog leg. That is Brandon Marlowe, and it sounds like some more contact throughout the field. Nick Fleury also against the wall. Not sure what happened with him. So a lot of crazy racing here early in this race. As Nick Fleury still struggling. Looks like that right front is knocked off that car, so he'll have to bring that thing pit side. And Nick Fleury's early race will end very early as we look back up to the race at the front. Stephen Hoffman has tracked down our race leader, Hayden Swank, who has a big time bobble off of turn number 2. That allows Hoffman to get right to his back bumper as they sail it into turn number 3. Swank will once again go to cut the dog legs. Hoffman will stay up to the top side, get that momentum, and once again enter about 2 car lengths back this time into turn number 1. We got some battling further on back. Darrell Larson trying to track down Brian Wilderson for the 9th position. Larson has found 3 spots since the start of the field. Biggest mover so far, though, Devin McDonald up 8 spots from where he started. He currently finds himself in the 12th position. 2 cars down pit road, Kyle Lesher with an unscheduled stop, and Nick Fleury. So both those cars might be in for a long night here as we are already on lap 5 of 120 here at Phoenix for race number 3. Seems like everyone has kind of simmered on out for a moment. Everyone spacing on out. Just trying to put down laps here in the early part of this race, but Donovan Cardy, a man on a mission here. He has tracked down these front 2 drivers as Stephen Hoffman right on the back bumper of Hayden Swank. Almost made contact there into turn number 1. This could open up the door for Cardy down the backstretch. All 3 of our leaders about a 1 car length gap between them as Hoffman goes to the top side. Looks like he will let the 3 car by, so he knows Cardy's maybe pushing here early in this race. Does not want to use up his stuff, lets him on go. So Donovan Cardy up to P number 2, and looks like he's trying to go for the race lead here. Further on back, 1 car a little bit off the pace. That is Zach Rush in the 82 machine. Not sure what happened there, but he seems to be a little bit slow. Has fallen back now to the 17th position as we got a 3 car battle. All the Hot Lap Hero cars in a group being led by Brandon Marlowe. Dane Lloyd there looking at him as Clifford Bellamy goes on to buy him. So already a lot of strategy coming in here too tonight. A lot of cars either debating on saving tires or pushing hard in this early stage, but so far Hayden Swank has led every single of the first 9 laps as now he goes under fire from Donovan Cardy. He looks to his inside. They go side by side into turn number 1 here. Cardy down low, Hayden Swank up top, and looks like Cardy will get the preferred line and take over the race lead. So now new race leader, the 3 machine of Donovan Cardy out there leading the way here for lap number 10 at the Phoenix International Raceway. One driver we haven't seen all season, that is the 710 machine of Dan the Man Parmalee. He found his way back up in the top 5. So Dan Parmalee in the top 5 for the first time this race. We'll see if he can hold on to that, as he does have a little bit of right front damage to that 710 machine. Wonder where he did pick that on up. Zach Heiser has reeled in the 5 machine of Darrell Larson, so Heiser looking to regain some of those spots that he lost early in this race with that mistake from the 14 machine. We'll see if he can get on around him as he looks to the inside of the 5 car. Darrell Larson will shut the door as they head down the backstretch here. Up front, Donovan Cardy trying to run away with this thing has put over now a half a second lead over Hayden Swank. So this 3 machine is a man on a mission here in the early part of this race. Already a 10th of the way down, and he's looking to set sail out front and keep that 3 machine in clean air. as everyone starts to file on around top 5, looking like the following. Donovan Carty we're looking at in first. Second is Hayden Swank, but still has Stephen Hoffman breathing down his neck there in case that 35 machine makes a mistake. That's Stephen Hoffman currently running in the third position. Fourth is Tanner Tallarico, kind of quietly riding around in that one machine. We'll see what Tanner can do. And then rounding out the top 5 is, of course, Dan Parmley in the 710. Sixth is Tim Rogers in the 48 Bass Pro Shop machine. Dave Payton in the 38 currently runs in P number 7. Deontay here, another good start from that 000 machine. We'll see if he can put it together, though, in the race and see if he can finish inside this top 10, maybe even a top 5 finish. Ninth is Brian Wildison in the 951. Another early quiet run. We'll see what Wildison can do as he now looks to the outside of Hearer down in the dog leg and heading to turn number 1. Wildison will throw it on in there, almost made contact with him and Hearer, as Hearer had to get on the binders, get that car sideways to keep it underneath. As Donovan Carty, big time issues off of turn number 2. Not sure what happened to our race leader, probably pushing too hard, and he makes hard contact to that inside wall. That left front, is broke on that 3 machine. So Carty will be probably out of this race, or at least have extensive repairs to that 3 machine. So we'll see him bring it down pit road, and Carty's race goes from hero to zero very quickly as he goes from the race lead now probably to the tail end of this field. So wow, a lot of craziness in the early part of this race, but none of the incidents bringing out a yellow flag. So that's pretty wild to see here at Phoenix. So Hayden Swank once again retakes over the point here. That moves Zach Heiser now up to 9th, and Darrell Larson will round out the new top 10. As I don't know about you folks, but this race is pretty wild to say the least here at the Phoenix International Raceway, as a lot of wild incidents. As it looks like, I believe we are under yellow flag. Yes, we are. So we'll put out the lights and try and figure out what happened to bring out that yellow flag. Not sure what happened, but we'll see the field come down pit road, and looks like everyone will come on down and take 4 fresh Goodyear tires. As we see the field head down pit road, and we'll go to the pit cam and see who wins the race off of pit road. And we're getting word from race control that, in fact, that yellow was because of the 3 machine of Donovan Carty. So we will get the field re-racked. Hayden Swank did win the race off of pit road. Stephen Hoffman 2nd, Tanner Tallarico 3rd, Deontay Hero 4th, and Tim Rogers rounds out the top 5 after the shakeup on pit road. Looks like our caution counter might be a little bit broken here tonight, so don't pay attention to how many cautions we have tonight. If you see the yellow lights on, we're probably under yellow flag here for the race. So we are already 20 laps complete here at the Phoenix International Raceway of 120. So we have about 100 lap shootout. Still a lot of racing left to be had here around the speedway. So we'll have to see how this shakes on out. As this time by the iRacing pace car light should get extinguished on top of it. Then we'll restack the field and get ready to go. Green flag racing next time by. And of course, these pace laps fairly long here at Phoenix, even though it's a pretty short track. These pace laps are very long, and then the restart zone way after when that iRacing pace car heads down pit road. So these drivers have a lot of thinking to do, especially Hayden Swank, who will control the restart here. Now that the iRacing pace car heads down pit road, he has a lot of time to think when he wants to go in this restart zone. As it looks like as the field runs, we have 16 cars on the lead lap here after this first yellow. Looks like Zach Rush, the only car a lap down. Cardi, Lesher, and Fleury all out of this race here early. As off of turn number 3, Hayden Swank jumps on the loud pedal here, and we go back to green flag racing action here at Phoenix. Hayden Swank once again very far down low, cuts that dog leg and makes up a good amount of time over Stephen Hoffman, about a 3 car length advantage. As further on back we get side-by-side racing action. Deontay Hero trying to roll the top side of Tim Rogers. Looks like he will be able to do that and try and pull along Brian Wildison as well. Wildison in the 951 to the top side now, looking to the right rear of Hero. Wildison all the way against the wall, has to get out of it. That opens up the door for Dave Payton to get by. As a single file line of cars behind Hayden Swank, one car hard in the wall. That looks like the 422 machine of Jordan McAvoy. He hit that wall hard in the dog leg, so he'll probably have to bring that thing down pit road, as that thing probably did break a toe link. As further on up, once again, no yellow flag here at Phoenix, so this flag man must be a little bit blind out here, but through the dog leg, the leaders come, and Stephen Hoffman with a big run. He takes over the race lead, trying to carry that momentum here in 1 and 2, and will do that. So Stephen Hoffman, our new race leader. Hayden Swank files back into second, now under fire as Tanner Tallarico in the 1 looks to the inside of the 35 machine into turn number 3. And once again, I believe we are under yellow flag conditions here at the Phoenix International Raceway. I believe for that 422 machine, I think he put down some debris, so we are back under the yellow flag conditions here at Phoenix. The iRacing pace car makes his way back out on pit road, and will be probably no pit stops this time, as they just pitted 5 laps ago. So with a little bit of some time here, we're going to go, of course, throw our Wednesday night series promo. You can check that out on the Turn 3 Racing Network, that being brought to you by the boss man, Al himself. Be sure to check that out to see most of these drivers out there, including myself. Alrighty, folks, we are back here at the Phoenix International Raceway for race number 3 of the ASRC Next Gen Series. Stephen Hoffman now leading the way here with that yellow flag, so he gets to control the restart. Hayden Swank now into second. Tanner Tallarico still in third. Deontay Hero moves up to fourth. And Tim Rogers is back in the 5th position. And don't forget, folks, tomorrow night we're back to our normally programmed schedule. Tomorrow night we'll see these guys do battle at the Auto Club Raceway, so be sure to tune in that. Set your calendar, set your times for 9 o'clock as well, and we'll be back to our normal Tuesday night scheduled distance for 70 laps at the Auto Club Speedway. Some other things we didn't mention about Stephen Hoffman. Favorite driver out there is the Biff, Greg Biffle. And I tell you what, one of the more underrated drivers to never win a championship. And of course, sadly, in the, let's say, Jimmy Johnson era with his dominance. Nothing to take away from Jimmy Johnson, but, you know, there's a lot of good drivers like Biffle, Carl Edwards. Those drivers like that, you know, probably should have got a championship or two if there wasn't that dang 48 machine out there on track. But looks like the lights are extinguished on top of the iRacing pace car. We double up the field and get ready to go back racing here as we are under our second yellow flag of the night. So our spotlight driver, Stephen Hoffman, leading into green, and it's kind of seemed like a pretty good trend. You know, you get the spotlight driver, and whatever reason, I don't know if I add a few extra horsepower under the hood or whatnot, but it seems like the driver does at least a little bit well when it comes to the end of the race. We'll have to see how this one shakes out. Off of turn number 4, Hoffman on the loud pedal here. We go back to green flag racing action as Hoffman once again does not cut the dog leg. So interesting, that could open up the door for maybe a car behind, but now Tanner Tallarico to the inside of Hayden Swank. They'll go door to door here in turn 2. As the field comes off of turn number 2, Hoffman by himself, then the rest of the field a jumbled mess as everyone fighting for position. Looks like Hayden Swank able to get clear of Tallarico. Now here, our big time run on the top side, able to keep that momentum. Now they go 3 wide in the dog leg. We'll file on out as now one car in the inside wall. That is Darrell Larson. Hard contact to the 5 to the inside of that car, and I believe we'll probably be under another yellow flag as we'll have to see if that pace car does end up rolling on out. But Darrell Larson, some pretty hard contact to the left front, but able to keep that car rolling out there on the speedway. As, oh, Deontay Heuer into the outside wall. He still on up there, and that will definitely probably bring out a yellow flag. Is here with a bit of a wobble in the dog leg. Stephen Hoffman having some sort of issue as well. He comes down pit road, so a lot of craziness happening here at the Phoenix International Raceways. Hoffman down pit road. We gotta wonder what happened to that 23 machine, as now the 35 machine of Hayden Swank leading the way. So Heuer and Hoffman both with some sort of issues. But it looks like we stay green flag racing here at Phoenix as the field has single filed on out throughout the field. As this is turning into a race of attrition, and staying green flag racing at that is now Tanner Tallarico. Looks to be on the charge. He looks to the inside of Hayden Swank as they'll head down into turn number 1. I think Hoffman may have had a penalty to serve because he's back there out on the speedway right in front of the field. So we might have to talk to race control, see what happened to Hoffman, but now finds himself on the back end of the lead lap and trying to fight to not go a lap down. As once again, Tanner Tallarico to the inside of Hayden Swank. This is the battle for the race lead off of turn number 2. Tanner Tallarico struggling just enough to put down that power off of 2. You saw him get a little bit wobbly. That could have opened up the door for Tim Rogers. He backs on out of it. But now that sets him in the clutches of Brian Wildison. Everyone very much jockeying for position now. It seems like everyone kind of knowing this race might be a race of attrition, trying to race towards the front and take over the race lead. As now we see the 38 Pinkerton machine of Dave Payne to the inside of Brian Wilderson. They'll go door to door at the start finish line. We'll see how far Dave cuts the dog leg. None at all. So he'll keep the 951 machine to his outside as dive it down into turn number 1 and go side by side as Tanner Tallarico. Oh, as one car goes around, that is Deontay here on the speedway. He will most likely bring out a yellow flag. He did get that car off the racing surface pretty quickly, as it looks like we'll wait for race control, but it looks like we will stay green flag race in action here at Phoenix. So even with that spin from the 000 machine, we stay green flag racing as Hayden Swank continues to lead the way. And man, this race, big time attrition here at Phoenix. Wilderson now crossed over Dave Payne while that was happening. Wilderson down low. The 38 machine of Payne to the top side. So once again, Tanner Tallarico looks to the inside of Hayden Swank for the race lead. Tallarico way down low in the dog leg. He has an advantage now, clear of Hayden Swank. Will Swank get on the loud pedal early to try the crossover? It looks like no. So new race leader for the night, Tanner Tallarico in the 1 machine in P number 1. So it looks like Tallarico trying to set sail out in front. Now Tim Rogers looking to the inside of Hayden Swank. So not sure if Swank has an issue or maybe trying to save some stuff, as Wilderson big time sideways on the apron. He tried to just get a nose in to the inside of the 35 machine, got a piece of the apron, and that swung that car on around very quickly, as we got also a car stopped on the speedway. Not sure who that was, and we'll see the yellow flag out here once again for the 3rd time tonight. So Brian Wilderson, we were just talking with Hoffman about these cars not having too much side downforce, and Hoffman to the Wilderson to the inside of Hayden Swank, gets on that yellow line with the transition in the banking, and that's enough to send that car on around, and that brings out our yellow flag on the night, our 3rd yellow flag, on the night. So we'll go back to the live race in action, as actually we'll go to our promo and be right back. We are back here at Phoenix, and it looks like we got some strategy going on in the field. Looks like Zach Heiser stayed out with his old tires. Stephen Hoffman also elected to stay on out. So Hoffman wanted to see that yellow as he was about to go a lap down. So now he's back in the mix of things. Looks like the winner off of pit road was Tim Rogers, and looks like everyone behind that 48 machine did pit. So we'll have to see how this shakes things up, as some cars on old and new tires. As it looks like the lights are out on the iRacing pace car. So we are going green next time by Zach Heiser in the 14 machine leading us to green, with Stephen Hoffman to his outside. Tim Rogers in the 48 machine in 3rd, Tanner Tallarico 4th, and Hayden Swank rounds out the top 5 for this restart. We'll jump up on the spotter stand for this restart, folks, and get a view of this craziness in the dogleg, as the iRacing pace car makes the hard left-hand turn down the long pit road, and we'll get ready to go back. Green flag racing action here in just one moment. As off of turn number 3 of the field comes, we wait for the 14 machine to fire on off, and he does so. So we go back, green flag racing action. Zach Heiser leads the way in the 14 machine. Tim Rogers the first to elect to cut the dog leg. We'll get to the inside of Hoffman, not quite to the inside of Heiser for the race lead. So Tim Rogers making quick work of Stephen Hoffman on those old tires. Now trying to chase down Heiser for the race lead. Enters right on the back bumper. He lifts early to make sure he gives himself room. And off of turn number 3, Tim Rogers will lead this lap and take over the point. So Tim Rogers, a new race leader here once again at Phoenix. Now Hayden Swank trying to make quick work of things as well as he slides into third. Tanner Talrico taking a much more easy approach. He's in 5th, as I believe we have a yellow flag out here. Some big time contact, looks like, between the 18 machine and the 5 of Darrell Larson. Larson's night going from bad to worse, as now you see some heavy right side damage to the 5 to accompany that left side damage. So looks like Larson's night will come to an end here on lap number 46. As this race, a big time race of attrition, as we are back under the yellow flag conditions. Tim Rogers leading the way, and we'll be right back after this iRacing commercial break. Don't go anywhere.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Alrighty, folks, we are back here at the Phoenix International Raceway. We have Tim Rogers leading the way, and Zach Heiser and Stephen Hoffman did not come down and take tires this yellow, so they'll stay out there with their old tires. So we'll have to see how that shakes on out for them, as they'll both be starting on in the top row in 2nd and 4th respectively. This time by at the flag stand, we should see the lights go out as we are under our 4th yellow of the night here. As those wondering what did happen to Stephen Hoffman in the 23 machine, race control said he changed lanes before the start finish line. So Hoffman found himself against in the outside lane before the start finish line. So he did get that penalty. That's why he had to come down pit road and serve that pass through. But looks like he's able to rebound from that. We'll have to see how this shakes out in the end, because he has a bad fast piece underneath him here tonight. As the iRacing pace car once again makes the hard left-hand turn down pit road, we get ready to go back green flag racing. And I heard we might have a guest here, the broadcaster of Wednesday nights, the boss man, in the pace car here at Phoenix. So pretty cool to see that. As we now wait for Tim Rogers in the Bass Pro Shop, number 48 Chevy, to fire off in the restart zone. Got to make sure he doesn't change those lanes before. And he fires off, gets a great start over Heiser, and we go back green flag racing action here at Phoenix. So once again, the field diving down into turn number 1. Looks like everyone getting away pretty solidly. The front 5 already single filed on out as Hayden Swank trying to look to the inside of the 14 machine of Zach Heiser. John Kane right now in a sandwich of some Hot Lap Hero cars with the 37 in front and the 9 behind is Brian Wilderson trying to make up some ground after that spin. He finds himself just outside of the top 10 in 11th place in the 951 machine. Up front, Heiser holding on to second over Hayden Swank, so that 14 machine still looking pretty sporty on those old tires. You can tell a little bit slower through the apex, but not sure if that was because Heiser threw it in there a little bit hot or not, but currently has Swank about a car length back, so keeping that pressure on that 14 machine if he does make a mistake. One car big time sideways down the backstretch. That's the 09 machine of Dane Lloyd. He'll get tagged by Clifford Bellamy just a little bit, and that will bring out our 5th yellow of the night. As we see the double 09 or the 9 on the car go on around on the backstretch. And once again, we find ourselves under a yellow flag here at Phoenix. So this setup must be a handful for these drivers because it is taking a toll on these cars, as we have now, I want to say, close to 5 cars out of this race here, and we're not even halfway done. As of course, for the schedule for these drivers out here in ASRC, you know, they got a lot of different tracks to go to. Next, well, tomorrow is Auto Club Speedway. Then they go to Martinsville, so back to the short tracks, if you want to count this a short track. It's kind of borderline. It drives like one, but, you know, it's too big of a distance track to really be considered a short track. So they go to Martinsville after Auto Club. Then they'll go to the Lady in Black of Darlington. That one's going to be a wild show. Hopefully we'll see a lot of throwback cars out there. Then they go to Hotlanta for the Super Speedway repave. Then we'll see them turning left and right at the Glen, Watkins Glen, May 9th. Then they go once again back to short track racing at Bristol for May 16th. Then they go out to Kansas and see if Dorothy can find her shoes. Then when we roll around to playoff times, it's Richmond, then Talladega, Charlotte, and then season finale to decide a champion on June 20th at the Miami Homestead Speedway. And of course, all those races will be covered by yours truly on the Turn 3 Racing Network, so be sure to tune in to all those, as this is going to be a wild season. A lot of good competitors, and we got to see some wild moves, especially at these super speedways, because we're going to the NASCAR style win and you're into the playoffs. So we heard, we were talking about Greg Biffle with Stephen Hoffman. Well, Tim Rogers in the 48. I bet you guys could guess who his favorite driver was. Yep, it's the man that dominated in that era. It is Jimmy Johnson. So Tim Rogers trying to do his best Jimmy Johnson impersonation and trying to pick up another win here at Phoenix. So we'll see what he can do. He's rocking a different paint scheme. Not the Skull Bandit tonight. He's got the Bash Pro Shops on the car. As the lights once again extinguished on the iRacing pace car, we get ready to try and go back. Green flag racing here at Phoenix. As the iRacing pace car heads down pit road, we now wait for Tim Rogers to once again lead us back to green flag racing action. Looks like we got right around 11 or 12 cars only on this lead lap, so it is starting to dwindle down, and this race of attrition definitely taking a toll as we get ready to refire for this restart. And off of turn number 3, the field comes. Tim Rogers on the loud pedal here. We go back to green flag racing action here at Phoenix. Tim Rogers with a great start. We see the field behind file out 3 wide as they head down in turn number 1. Tanner Talarico looking to the inside of Zach Heiser. Heiser trying to roll that top side on the 1 car. Further on back, Dan Parmley trying to put the power down to get clear of Dave Payne. Payne trying to keep that nose into the inside. He does just that in turn 3, so they'll go side by side off of turn number 4 and into the dog leg. Dave Payne, whoa, one big time hit for Dan Parmley. He gets the wall big time, and that will collect the 37 machine of Brandon Marlowe and a smidge of damage to, it looks like, the 951 of Brian Wildison, as Parmley definitely out of this race, as he'll have some big time right side damage. And somehow we stay green because no one fully went on around. So once again, the officials being very lenient with these yellow flags, even though we've had a lot of them. There's some instances tonight that it's like, man, we should have had one, as that was definitely one, as Brandon Marlowe still out there running with Brian Wildison. We'll have to check out the damage to the right side of these cars and see how they are looking. But so far, able to keep some decent pace out here. So yeah, that 37 Hot Lap Heroes machine looking actually kind of all right. So Brandon Marlowe might have gotten away with one there, as Tim Rogers leading the way on the field. Tanner Talarico finds himself in 2nd, Heiser 3rd, Hayden Swank 4th, and Stephen Hoffman still hanging on to 5th, as he has Dave Payne breathing down his neck. And this time by for Tim Rogers at the start finish line. We will see cross flags here at Phoenix, halfway down, halfway home. So Heiser still looking to keep the pressure on Tanner Talarico. These, from 2nd on back, you could throw a blanket over these cars, as these guys definitely keeping the pressure on each other in case any of them make a mistake. Right now it looks like we have 10 cars out there on the lead lap, so the field dwindling on down. We got our first pack from 1st through 6th, and then our second pack now being led by the 9 machine of John Kane. That includes Brandon Marlowe, Brian Wildison, and Deontay Hewer, who finds himself, I believe, a few laps down in that 000 machine with that contact to the wall. Yeah, it looks like 8 laps down, but with the amount of cars on pit road, Hewer could maybe squeak in a top 10 by the end of this race, as now we see Wildison looking to the inside of, as we got a car stop by pit entrance. That looks like the 18 machine of Devin McDonald. He had some damage from before, so not sure if something else broke on that 18 machine, but he'll bring that thing down pit side. And since that was far enough off the racing surface, we stay green flag racing here at Phoenix. as one car kind of by his lonesome, having some issues. It looks like it's the 82 machine of Zach Rush. Not sure what's going on with him, but looks like he is a little bit off the pace as he's having some troubles there with that 82 Chevy Camaro out here. But even with having these slight issues, let's say, still running inside of this top 10 right now. This time by the field, we'll see the completion of lap 65. Now we're on lap 66 here of our scheduled distance of 120 here. As everyone's single filed out, that second pack starting to catch this first pack as Hayden Swank dropping slowly to that second pack. So Hayden Swank maybe doesn't have the long run pace on that car that he would like. As Tim Rogers continues to lead the way over Tanner Tallarico. Heiser, very strong run in that 14 machine on those old tires. Same with Stephen Hoffman, who both of them find themselves in third and fourth. As we're jumping around, trying to find some racing action. Looks like Dave Payton trying to push Stephen Hoffman a little bit. Payton on those newer tires, so we'll have to see how that shakes on out for these drivers, as everyone kind of running around at this point, saving their stuff, knowing that this race has a lot of attrition. As one car very slow in the back. I think this will bring out another yellow flag here on the speedway. As actually, no, we were wrong in race control there. Got some misinformation, so we stay green as Tim Rogers continues to grow the gap over Tanner Tallarico. Now 3/4 of a second lead as they do put that 82 machine of Zach Rush a lap down. Tanner Tallarico, big time cut in the dog leg, trying to gain some ground on Tim Rogers. You see about 2/10 advantage of Tanner doing that, but it does wear the tires a little bit more on that car, so you got to keep it in your back pocket almost and use it sparingly, let's say. As now we see Dave Payne making the move on Stephen Hoffman. He gets to the inside, and contact between the two of them. Dave Payne definitely stayed low. I think Hoffman maybe thought he was going past him a little bit quicker than that. Hoffman had to get on the binders, and that now opens up the door for Hayden Swank to catch the back of the 23 cars. Now he's starting to feel some pressure. Brian Wilderson making a charge. He was involved with that Dan Parmalee incident, but has made his way back up to this lead pack. So Brian Wilderson, another driver, another fast piece under him for this weekend, but can he have the luck to bring it on home? As we see the field continue to get spread on out. Now Dave Payne looking on the move for Zach Heiser. This is for P number 3 on the speedway, so he's trying to make something happen here. As Dave Payne not quite able to get on around him on corner entry, but we'll see on corner exits. Heiser very aggressive. One car goes around. That is Hayden Swank, and big time contact. Deontay Hura gets in the back of Hayden Swank, and both those cars will probably be out, as that was a big hit to the back end of the 35 machine. I think Hayden Swank just got loose off of turn number 2, and here trying to guess which way the sliding car would go and guess wrong, and Deontay Hero probably now out of this race, and Hayden Swank probably some big time damage to that left rear and left front of that 35 machine, and we find ourselves under yellow, and we see the leaders coming down pit road for some pit stops. We'll keep an eye here on the race leaders and see who wins the race off of pit road. These drivers about 30 to 50 laps on these tires, so we'll have to keep an eye on them and see who ends up winning this race, as a lot of time has been spent on these tires. We see everyone on the lead lap down pit road to get some fresh Goodyear tires. Looks like off pit road, Tim Rogers wins it. Tanner Tallarico second. Very close between Dave Payne and Brian Wilderson. I think Payne will just get him off of pit road. Wilderson with a good stop. He'll come out fourth. And Zach Heiser losing a few spots. He'll come out in the fifth position. And a little bit about Zach Heiser. He's from Jonesville, Michigan, a fellow Michigander here in the ASRC League. He is the admin of the Dirt Series, and I tell you what, that season 1 of the Pro Lates coming on back with us at turn 3 was some great racing there. I tell you what, Zach Heiser stepping into the admin role for the first time, doing a great job with that. Of course, on the car we got Horsepower Happenings, some other sponsors, Select Motorsport Safety, and of course the admin of the Pro Late Model Series. Some iRacing accomplishments, 2-time runner-up finishes with ASRC. He added a third last week at Chicagoland, so he's looking for his first win. Of course, last week being won by Ron Hart, who is not out here on the speedway here tonight, couldn't make it, feeling under the weather as the reports were, so we get to see a different driver win unless Hayden Swank can get the job done, but I think that car will be on pit road for a while, so we'll see our third different winner here at Phoenix, as it seems like, you win a race and maybe some bad luck might be coming your way, depending on how you look at it. So, some other racing accomplishments from Heiser out here. He did win a feature at Mount Pleasant, so that's pretty sweet. I know a few drivers out there at the Mount Pleasant Speedway, of course, in the middle of Michigan, and in 2008, Butler Speedway Rookie of the Year. And his favorite real-life track, of course, got to be some dirt with Kokomo Speedway and some dirt late models. And you can never forget the sprint cars around Kokomo. Tight little bull ring down in Ohio, but I tell you what, puts on some great racing. As once again, the iRacing pace car lights are extinguished on top of it. Tim Rogers looking for to pick up the win here. He's been very solid here in, let's say, after the quarter-way mark in that 48 machine. We'll see if he can get it done, but up against some hard chargers of Tanner Tallarico, Wilderson, and Payton, all very hungry for their own wins as well, as we now wait for the 48 of Tim Rogers to get to the restart zone and once again lead us back to green flag racing action. Off of turn number 4, Tim Rogers jumps on the loud pedal here. We go back to green flag racing as Rogers cuts the dogleg here. Tanner Tallarico stays up top. One car, not the greatest restart. That's a 14 machine of Zach Heiser, who lost one spot to Hoffman on the top side and under fire from Brandon Marlowe. Up top, they'll go door to door down the backstretch, and Marlowe has the run, but now in the not preferred lane up top, you see that car up in the marbles get very loose, and we are back under yellow flag conditions. Not sure what brought it on out, but we see the field slowing on down here once again. So we are under another quick yellow flag. So don't go anywhere, folks. We got some commercials, of course, with some quick yellows. We'll be right back on the other side. Alrighty, folks, we are back at the Phoenix International Raceway for race number 3 of the ASRC Next Gen Series. Of course, we're under yellow flag again, and I've already lost count of the yellows. I don't know if you've been keeping track at home, but I want to say this is like 6, I think. Tim Rogers still leading the way, Tanner Tallarico second, Dave Payne up to third, Brian Wilderson fourth, and Stephen Hoffman rounds out the top 5 here. As by the look of things, we have only 9 cars left on the lead lap. Some of the biggest movers still out here is Brian Wilderson in the 951 machine. He is up 8 positions from where he started after this race number 3. He currently finds himself in the 4th position. I tell you what, he definitely has speed for a top 3 when it's all said and done. Be on the lookout for it tomorrow before the race, as we'll try and get a word with a few of these drivers that do end up on the podium. Of course, not catching them tonight, as you know, they all have their off week. They all got stuff to do on these Monday nights, so we'll catch them tomorrow and get a few words in with them. As once again, the lights are out on top of the iRacing pace car. It's going to make the hard left-hand turn down pit road, and I tell you what, boss man Al Smith getting a workout in that pace car. He might have to come in to refuel that thing at some point, as once again we see that thing out on the speedway, but not anymore as it makes its way down pit road, and Tim Rogers leading the way here for another restart. And off at turn number 3, the field comes in the restart zone. They go through, and Tim Rogers on the loud pedal again. We go back to green flag racing action here at Phoenix. Dave Payne with a great start. He goes side by side with Tanner Tallarico. Both of them throw it into turn number 1 here. Zach Rush, big time send in the back. He hangs on to that 82 machine, but man, that thing was sideways, as throughout the field, everyone fighting for position. Wilderson very slow off of turn number 2. He's going to have to find some momentum here off of 4 to get a run to prevent himself from losing any more spots, as Hoffman now looks to the inside of Tallarico, now looking to the outside as one car goes around. Zach Heiser spins down the backstretch, gets a piece of the inside wall, and we'll have to see if that brings out a yellow flag or not, as he'll loop it on around. It looks like we stay green somehow, so as Tim Rogers continues to lead the way in tonight's race. Dave Payne now up to second in that 38 Pinkerton Chevy Camaro. one car around as well. That is John Kane with some issue. He's got a lot of right front suspension damage. He'll try and limp that thing back to pit road. So another lead lap car with some damage and potentially out of this race. So that could move us down to 8 or 7 cars out here by the end of this race. As up front, you know what, folks? Let's do some turn 3 turning up. Let's get a word from these cars and get the sights and sounds here as we close on into the end of this race. And we come back to racing action here. Stephen Hoffman trying to make the move on Tim Rogers for the lead as we're there in the turn it up segment. Hoffman around the top side of Tim Rogers. So Stephen Hoffman, once again, a fast piece under that 23 machine. He takes over the racing point here once again at Phoenix. Tim Rogers right there on his back bumper, trying to keep the pressure on him. Dave Payne still hanging on in the third. Brandon Marlowe, an awesome race for him. He currently finds himself in the 4th position. Then right behind him, Hayden Swank and Tanner Talarico side by side racing here. So Hayden Swank's car must be not too killed as he's able to find himself now back in the top 5 here late in this race. So pretty much all the cars we're looking at on screen right here are the cars on the lead lap. One other car, of course, we saw Zach Heiser with the moment there in the dog leg, able to get that car back rolling. He currently finds himself in 8th. And then Zach Rush, one of the only cars still out there in the 82 machine, trying to just keep a top 10 finish alive. As Hoffman now starting to pull away from Tim Rogers, trying to lengthen that gap almost now to about a half a second over that 48 machine. Hoffman, of course, very, very consistent driver. You know, a real life racer, knows how to have car control under that car, but also knows when to push, has a lot of racing awareness, and excited to see what he can do with a full-time season under his belt. As he pilots that 23 machine, of course, in the virtual reality, gets to move his head, eyes kind of track wherever his head's at in the car, so that's always very immersive. But you know, he gets himself out of a Logitech. I just did because my old wheel died, and I tell you what, there's a lot of good wheels on the market, and you know, they might not make you quote unquote faster, but man, any sort of upgrades tend to make you a lot more consistent. That's half the battle with especially these long races here on iRacing. You can just be that even more consistent throughout a long run, man. You start saving tires better, and you start going through the field like a such of maybe a Tanner Talarico, who has kind of been a quiet race from him, but I know he's saving his stuff in that one machine and looking to turn it up here by the end of it. And looking at the battle box here for these times, and we'll look from Stephen Hoffman on back, and at the start finish line, Tim Rogers a little bit slower than Hoffman, but Dave Payne the fastest out of the top 4 in this group. So Hoffman looking to increase that pace if he can. As that time's a lot closer throughout the field. Now Dave Payne, the slower car out of this first bunch, so we'll have to see how this shakes on out as Hoffman losing ground now to Tim Rogers. Might be falling back into the clutches as Hoffman used up his stuff too early. We got 22 laps to figure it on out. Now Tanner Talarico further on back, makes contact with Brandon Marlowe. Marlowe somehow saves it. He has to save it again as he gets on the apron down. He spins down pit road. No yellow flag, so Marlowe with contact from Tanner Talarico, trying to use those dirt scales to save that car. And we talked with Stephen Hoffman before the race. These things are so hard to save once they get sideways with that no side force with these uniform bodies, and that thing just took off on Marlowe, so he'll be battling to probably stay on this lead lap. So a tough break from Brandon Marlowe, who looks like now will probably just get out on the speedway, and looks like he'll find himself the first car a lap down as he'll bring that thing into pits, get some service, get some fresh tires on that car, because that thing's probably flat spotted. As we find ourselves 100 laps complete, inside of 20 laps to go. Stephen Hoffman leading the way over Tim Rogers. Dave Payne in third, but now under fire from Hayden Swank. And then a big time gap to Brian Wildison with that contact between Marlowe and Talarico. As now Hayden Swank going on the attack, looking to the inside of Dave Payne into turn number 1. Swank will try and drive it in there, but Payne gets to carry the momentum from that top line and almost makes up some ground on Tim Rogers with that move. That is the one thing Stephen Hoffman wants to see in his rearview mirror. He wants to see all 3 of these cars start duking it out, start slowing each other down so he can drive away, as he's now almost got a half a second lead over the 48 machine. As further on back, Tanner Talarico, Brian Wildison contact into turn number 1. These guys are driving the doors off of each other and trying to make it stick. It looks like Tanner Talarico now gets on around, so Talarico finds himself back in the top 5. Wildison 6th, Heiser 7th, and now Brandon Marlowe in 8th, 1 lap down. Into turn number 3, this group comes. Of course, the best battle on the speedway is 2nd through 4th right here. This battle we're looking at on the speedway. Tim Rogers got to turn it up here sooner than later to try and reel back in Hoffman. And it's one thing to reel someone in. It's a whole another beast to try and get around him, as they're all running out of time to make something happen, as Hayden Swank knows that as well. He knows it's time for him to go right now and try and get around Dave Payne. Dave Payne a little bit loose off of turn number 4. This could open up the door for Swank. Swank will cut the dog leg. They'll go side by side into turn number 1. Door to door, number to number, as Swank tries to roll that middle, washes on up just a little bit. Now Payne with the preferred line can get on the loud pedal a little bit earlier and does just that. He'll clear Hayden Swank. Swank trying to keep a nose to the inside to get the preferred line. Can't do it, but Dave Payne misses the bottom. And that once again opens up the door big time for Swank for 3rd. Hayden Swank able to clear Payne into turn number 1. So now Dave has to find the momentum to get back around him. And with this battle, that is opening up the door of the one machine right there waiting in the wings of Tanner Tallarico. Now there's one thing for our spotlight driver that he doesn't want to see. That is the yellow cloth coming on out. He doesn't want to see the yellow flag late in this race. He's got a healthy lead over Tim Rogers, who seems like he's not able to track down the 23 machine. So Stephen Hoffman looking for his first win of the season. He's just got to do 11 more circuits to get the job done. Devin McDonald out there still running laps, able to find himself back in the top 10, 18 laps down, but able to get on out there and find himself once again in the top 10. So McDonald, race of attrition by him, but this time we see 2 open palms from the flag man. 10 laps to go. Brian Wilderson has reeled back in Tanner Tallarico. Tallarico might have used up his stuff trying to catch Payton, as now Wilderson looking to the left rear corner of the one machine. Tallarico takes the run off of him, but Wilderson able to get on the loud pedal once again. Looks he's trying to make a mistake out of that one machine, but that is a very tall task to do. Tanner Tallarico knows how to race with pressure right on his back bumper. He knows to rip that mirror off the car if he needs to, and doing just that here in the closing laps here. As Wilderson gets a nose to the top side of Tallarico, so they'll go side by side into turn number 3. We'll see if Wilderson will cross him on over. If I'm him, that's what I'm doing now, jumping on the loud pedal earlier. Tallarico a little bit loose. That allows Wilderson to get to the inside. They go door to door into turn number 1. Wilderson with the run, able to dive it down on in there, and he'll be able to get around as we got one car slow. That is Zach Rush, and that will put out a late race yellow. That is not what Stephen Hoffman wanted to see in that 23 machine. So now this will probably put it with the laps left, probably within a 5-lap shootout when it's all said and done. So now, do cars take tires? Do they stay on out? This is going to be a tough call for these crew chiefs here tonight, as there's not too many cars. So you think everyone would come down, but if you do come down, do you take 2? Do you take 4? That's going to be the question as we see all the lead lap cars make their way down pit road. And we'll keep an eye at the end of pit road to see who wins the race off of that. This is where it gets wild, folks, as we take a look at the end of pit road. Everyone heading to their stalls. This is the money pit stop. We'll see whose crew gets the pay raise after tonight. Looks like Dave Payne, a 2-tire stop from him. Looks like Stephen Hoffman out second, Tim Rogers third, Hayden Swank fourth, Brian Wilderson fifth, Tanner Tallarico sixth. So Dave Payne taking the gamble. He's going to try and restart on 2 tires. We'll have to see how this works out for the 38 machine from Cherville, Indiana. Looks like Devin McDonald will get the wave around. He'll get at least 1 lap back. Looks like Brandon Marlowe, lucky dog out there. So he's able to bring that thing down pit side now, get some fresh tires. He could be back in this race depending how crazy this restart goes. Devin McDonald looks like will get waved on around. But Dave Payne will be leading us to green here in 2 laps. So it'll be a pretty much a 3-lap shootout to get the job done. Dave Payne on 2, the rest of the field on 4 fresh Goodyear tires. I was saying earlier, folks, you know, we probably won't see a repeat winner. Well, I could be eating my own words, as Hayden Swank has found himself back in the top 5. He currently sits in the 4th position, so don't count out a repeat winner just yet. And so far, you know, folks, we've done 3 spotlight drivers. And of course, all 3 of those cars in this race in the top 3. First one being Tim Rogers, second being Dave Payne, and now Stephen Hoffman, the spotlight driver here tonight, and finds himself in a great spot on the outside with 4 fresh tires. Dave Payne on 2 fresh Goodyear tires. We'll have to see how this shakes on out as we see a 3-lap shootout once we go back green flag racing. And folks, if this race wasn't crazy enough for you, get ready. It's about to be a lot crazier as we get a shootout here to determine the winner here tonight at Phoenix. And this is where the gloves come off. You're throwing everything and the kitchen sink at it, hoping it sticks. As off of turn number 4 of the field comes Dave Payne, leading us to green. He jumps on the loud pedal here. Get ready for a 3-lap shootout as Dave Payne leads the way. He cuts the dog leg. He's trying to make it work. As now 3 wide here, Hayden Swank, gets in to the side of Stephen Hoffman. They go on around to collect Tanner Tallarico as well. Big time contact. Somehow they all save it, so they stay all rolling. Stephen Hoffman, big time loser out of that with the 3 wide racing action. Up front, though, we see 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks up in the air for this field. We somehow, of course, here at Phoenix State Green Flag Racing, you know, it seems like there is, even though we had a lot of yellows, none coming out when it matters. We have side-by-side racing action for the race lead here. Dave Payne, Tim Rogers, right on each other's door as they head down into turn number 3. We have Zach Heiser trying to enter in the chat too. He's tied of runner-up finishes. And off of turn number 4, we see the white flag. 1 more lap to go here at Phoenix. Tim Rogers a little bit behind. He's going to have to make an aggressive move to make this happen as Dave Payne in the preferred line. Off of turn number 2, they once again stay door-to-door. Tim Rogers gets away with a great run down the backstretch. And into turn number 3, they come side by side. Who's going to do it? And off of turn number 4, Dave Payne has it. Contact! Dave Payne in the wall. Tim Rogers steals it. Holy smokes. Off of the bumper of the 48 machine, Tim Rogers gets the job done. He moves Dave Payne for the win. Dave Payne gives him either a congratulatory bump or probably a little bit of a frustrated one as Tim Rogers picks up the win here at Phoenix. Dave Payne, heartbreaking finish for him. He'll wind up in second. And Zach Heiser coming away by the end of it with a top 3, a 3rd place finish. So Heiser probably leading the points when it's all said and done with his point finishes, as we'll keep the camera on Tim Rogers as he burns it down on the front stretch here at Phoenix. As I said, folks, Tim Rogers needed to make an aggressive move, and he did it picture perfectly. He's able to pick up the win there at Phoenix in the gold machine, so he might be running this scheme a little bit more through this season, as that thing will end up down in victory lane. And of course, a crazy race has to, of course, end in a crazy finish. as we'll be right back after our commercial, and we'll run through tonight's finishing order. And don't go anywhere, because tomorrow we got to chat with these drivers. So folks, we come back here at Phoenix, of course, since this is a race replay. We don't have any interviews with these drivers, but we'll be talking to them tomorrow, so don't go anywhere. Of course, tonight's race results from Phoenix look like the following. Tim Rogers locks himself into the playoffs in the 48 Chevy Camaro. He picks up the win with the last lap pass on Dave Payton, who winds up in second. Third place, another great finish by him, is Zach Heiser in the 14 machine. I believe he will probably be the points leader after this. Brian Wilderson in the 951 with a great rebound by the end of it. He'll come in fourth. And Brandon Marlowe, another rebound story. He'll finish in fourth and be the biggest mover of the finishers. Sorry, Brian Wilderson was. Sixth goes to Tanner Tallarico in the 1. Seventh is Hayden Swank in the 35. Eighth, and a heartbreak for him, is Stephen Hoffman in the 4. Was in the catbird seat, but got his race spoiled towards the end. Ninth is Zach Rush in the 82 machine. 10th is Devin McDonald in the 18. 11th is John Kane in the 9. 12th goes to Deontay Hura in the 00. 13th is Dan Parmalee in the 710. 14th is the 002 machine of Clifford Bellamy. 15th is the 009 machine of Dan Lloyd. 16th goes to Darrell Larson in the 517. Jordan McAvoy in the 422 machine. 18th is Donovan Carty in the 3. 19th, Kyle Lesher in the 41. 20th is Nick Fleury, and that is all the finishers that did end up taking the green. So folks, it was a pleasure having you out here tonight. Thanks again for tuning on in the off week. Got to give a shout out to the YouTube chat lands out there. Thanks for tuning on in, keeping me busy up here. Of course, got to give Stephen Hoffman a huge shout out for being the spotlight driver here tonight. Great to talk to him, as he's a force to be reckoned with. He's definitely going to end up in victory lane some point in this season. Of course, be sure to tune in tomorrow for race number 4 at Auto Club for the American Sim Racing Club Next Gen Series. And be sure to tune in for the top 3 and tomorrow's Spotlight Driver. You won't want to miss it, folks. So I've been Brett the Jet from Turn 3 Racing Network. Be sure to tune in to Turn 3 throughout the week, as we got a lot of great series, a lot of great broadcasters. Of course, ASRC going live on Tuesdays and Wednesdays for their respective series. And of course, I'll be starting up my own other series broadcasting on Thursday nights this week as well. So if you want to listen to me some more, we got a lot of broadcasts for myself this week. So thanks again to all the live viewers tuning on in. Thanks again to all the replay viewers. Everyone stay safe, and we'll catch you tomorrow.